Hello, I'm James Lee, a professional accountant in business and a college teacher in strategic management diploma program and financial accounting for the university undergraduate program. My personal motto has always been, I'm at the peak of today's success, fruits of tomorrow's futures. It is my firm belief that in today's dynamic world, we have to constantly future-proof ourselves, whether it's at a social level, business level, or at the global level. As agile professionals, I'm very passionate about leading and transforming the business, industrial professions, and in particular, continuous learning with agility. It is with the agility mindset that we can cope with all the various changes that come along. My personal continuous lifelong learning journey has begun when I taken up the professions as an accountant. In these interesting and developing professions as an accountant, I've learned, unlearned, and relearned as we progress, in particular in today's under Education 4.0's, in problem solvings, collaborations, and adaptabilities. As a complete professional, the learning in any job, vocations, or profession should not stop and must not stop. I have acquired the knowledge of intellectual properties, trademark, protections, examinations, IP financings through WIPO. I have learned about the roles of China's and how it plays in the global economy with Tsinghua universities. And I also built my foundation knowledge and experience with ACCA, Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, and also continue buildings as a continuous professional development with not less than 40 hours or CBT hours under the Institute of Singapore Chartered Accountants. I also learned about diversities and inclusion issues with the LKY School of Public Policies under National Universities of Singapore. This learning I've acquired go beyond what a traditional accountant will need. As I see the profession is evolving, the world is evolving, that's why it's important that we have a continuous learning mindset so that we can keep ourselves relevant. It is just as we have renewed our annual subscription to the professional bodies. Many times, I've also asked students, fellow colleagues, and others I met with, I say and ask the question, have you renewed yourself? Are you the professional accountant in business version 2024? Or you just stay stagnant as where the year you graduated? I also acquired and learned and also depart and share my knowledge with the Singapore University of Social Science through the teachings of financial accounting to the undergraduate programs. I've also participated as a mediator to resolve conflict, dispute as a member of Singapore International Mediation Institute. And recently, I have also conducted OTHM diploma program in strategic management, covering strategic leadership, strategic marketing, strategic HR management, supply chain, as well as strategic finance. I enjoy every of this learning journey I have acquired, and also learn it along through sharings, and also know the unknown, in particular, as I teach, and also learn from a student, so that I will be able to understand why they don't understand, and which part of it I will need to understand it too. Continuous learning is also important because as an accountant, it's also a practice, no different from any other professions. The intensity of our practice has to contribute to our values. They're able to apply, able to solve today's business problem. Through the employer they are served, be it Four Seasons Hotels, JW Marriott, Sofitel, Raffles, and recently with the Singapore Flyers, I also embarked the roles of organization developments to develop the organization capacities, people developments, concept renewal. So I'm a complete professional who extend my service beyond the professional accountant. I'm a trusted business partner. I'm a good educator, and I'm also a very efficient problem solver. None of the problems we exist today can or should be solved singularly. We need to tap on the ecosystem to collaborate with partners and contribute for the progressions jointly, and also to share the collective wisdom with one another. I've led and chaired a fundraising project with Singapore Airlines to raise funds for an orphanage in Siem Reap. I contributed 6 years with Accountings and Corporate Regulatory Authority of Singapore in the capacities as a practice monitoring committees with the purpose to regulate and ensure the quality standard of the audit professions, to go through the audit practice reviews, covering the practitioners, whether it's in the Big Four or the SMP, we call the small and medium practitioners, so that it ensures that all the audit practitioners can hold the high standard and also can live up to the public trust. They go beyond the client's relationship, that there is a public values that every public accountant is serving. I also collaborated with Singapore Polytechnics to curate programs in hospitality IT as an elective certificate programs for the diploma student. I've also contributed to Ngee Ann Polytechnics in the School of Accountancy for the diplomas programs as an examiner reviewer. In the reviews, I'm able to bring today business problems and examine how the settings of the examination questions, as well as reviewing the answers provided by the students for relevancy check. And also, in my realizations that as we progress in our educations, very often with the complexity deal with, they must not and they should not be one single answers like what we used to as the standard model answers to every single questions they raise. I also contributed close to 2 decades of my service with the Ministry of Law of Singapore as a community mediation in resolving neighborhood dispute, in resolving civil dispute. It's through the conflict resolutions approach that I have learned to understand human behavior, to learn to understand the community spirit, and also learn to appreciate there's no problem too small if there's a stake involved. To understand what's the difference between the situations and the interests by the various parties, and how can we reach a harmonious, amicable, agreeable resolutions to the dispute. I also contributed and collaborated with the foundations of Rotary Club of Singapore as ordinary treasurers to ensure that the governance in place for the charity accounting, to implement internal controls to ensure that the governance is in place for the charities and for the donor money they've entrusted to us. Adaptability has been highlighted under Education 4.0. Adaptability is also important in the education fields, because at the external level, we are dealing with the volatilities that change. Today, curriculum may be outdated by the time the student graduated, which is very often, quote and unquote, a statement made by the education minister. We must continuously upgrade our education's curriculum and landscape. Otherwise, the students, the graduate we produce today will be the master of history, knowing only what has worked in the past, but do not have the ability to solve today as well as tomorrow problems. So at the external level, volatility is real. This is where at the external level, we also need to equip with the adaptability mindset to cope with the volatility, to cope with the trend, to cope with what's uprising, to cope what is relevant, to cope with what is required today. So at the external level, with the volatility, adaptability, at the internal level, as an individual or as an organization, it's only through stabilities that we can achieve progress. So stability is important as we adapt, because we can only grow and progress well under a stable environment and achieve the purpose we're set up to be. Internally, with these stabilities, we also will need to equip with the mindset of efficiency, because it's the efficiency that counts. Like today, the efficiencies of AI is real. It is a subject that I have not studied, neither do I need to take exam for my professional's qualification. But I see the need of today that we need to know how efficiency works, and sharing and learning about the various efficiency model, whether it's the app applications, whether it's a cloud computing, whether it's an AI, or whether it's Education 4.0. These are all the relevant methods that it is not by choice, but we need to adapt in today's world. I'd like to share a quote by Malcolm X. Education is the passport to the futures, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. It is with this motivating quote that I have spent the last 10 years as a college teacher as well, to share so that I can take the classroom into the real world.